Welcome everyone to the EX Area podcast, a Shadowverse Evolve podcast brought to you by us, two of your Shadowverse Evolve English Edition ambassadors. My name is DifferentFight, and joining me is Ignideus. How are you doing, buddy?
Hello. I mean, I've been better. So to let the audience know why we're a little bit late on this one, October was a busy month, and then I also got sick. So we're gonna try to get this episode and the next episode out a little bit with like a shorter time frame in between them. But that's why it took a little bit longer for the second episode to come out. So apologies for that. It's mostly my fault. So
No.
If you want to leave angry comments, you can leave it on my channel.
No. I think for me as well, is like there was like just some weekends where I was like, well, I'm traveling, I'm not home, I'm not like this is not working out. And so we got a little bit delayed, unfortunately, but we should be back on schedule. So the kind of plan is that this is essentially the October episode, and then we will have another episode at the end of this month as well, / beginning of December as sort of the November one, hopefully looking at some of the first BCS results for Verdant Steel. And then we'll have most likely one final episode for the year at the end of December after the Grand Showdown has concluded, talking about our thoughts there, and also just kind of reflecting on Evolve's 2024 as well. So getting into it for today, I mean, it's been a little bit since the last time. You know, it was we basically had the last episode in like early September, and you know, some time has passed. Japan has had some new sets. English has had Idolmaster come out as well.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
But it's been pretty interesting to see. Like it's an interesting parallel right now where Japan just got basically like the Verdant Steel 2, and a lot of like the Verdant Steel decks are just supported. So when we look at some of the tournament results today, you'll definitely see a lot of like, I guess, familiar faces, but technically they're new faces to English. So I guess you'll get to see how your current decks that you're building very soon are being updated going forward. So I think it'd be a pretty interesting experience, but I think just kind of getting into it already in terms of like what's happened for Evolve in this last, like, I guess, month and a half. For me, that by far the number one thing, of course, was the Bushiroad EXPO in Manila in the Philippines. So I was a invited guest there, which was a really cool experience. I do have some pictures I can actually show from it as well. So thanks to the folks over at Bushiroad in particular, they basically gave me they had a whole camera crew at the event, but it was really nice because they were basically like showing off taking pictures of like the venue, and they actually sent me like hundreds of pictures. So I'm obviously not gonna show everything.
That's the entire episode. We're just gonna look at all the
it's like my entire half of the episode is just this.
If you're here on the audio platforms like Spotify and Amazon and Apple, we do have it up on YouTube as well if you want to see the pictures for yourself. But right now it's just, Chris on the main stage with hundreds of adoring fans watching as he duels somebody on stage. What were you playing at the event?
So this was I had basically the schedule was that I had a stage session for Vanguard initially for an hour where I'd play against people from the crowd, and then I'd have a backstage session where I would go play like free fights with people, and then after that I would do that for Evolve. So this is from the Evolve segment, and for the Vanguard segment I would basically play a deck that I requested basically Bushiroad to build for me, and then the people that would come up on stage would play against one of the most recent set decks basically. And as for Evolve, it was only Idolmaster. So it would be that I and
showcasing the new set, basically, yeah.
Yeah, basically I would let them choose which of the 3 new decks they want to play, and then I would choose one of the remaining ones. So it was quite fun. I think, it was definitely like basically only had like an hour to do 2 matches and also like introduce myself. So I definitely like, do things at a pretty fast pace. But it was really nice. Like the crowd was super warm and like very passionate. Especially I was very surprised by how big the Vanguard scene is in the Philippines. And so of course, just seeing how passionate they were for the stage segment for that was really cool. I also have this picture here. This was like basically,
that's a good picture.
Yeah, dude, the camera crew was doing work, but the way that I would choose the people that would come up on stage is I would play rock paper scissors against the entire venue. So basically, then the people that tied or got beat would go down, but anyone that would beat me in rock paper scissors would stay up, and then we would just repeat that until there's like Usually repeat until there's like 3 or 4 people remaining, then I make them come up to the front and like play it out between themselves. But so I do that every time for both Evolve and Vanguard. It was really fun. And like seeing how passionate the crowd would get about it too was really cool. So this was just a picture from that. Very, very cool little shot. And then at the end of the day, I just wanted to like take a selfie with the basically the whole crowd. This was at the very end of the second day. So I think it was also like, perhaps I should have done this at the beginning of the first, because that was also like when they aired the English conference and stuff like that. So there was quite a lot of people in general. There was a lot of people throughout both days. But yeah, this was just a really nice little, it was really cool that everyone was like so cooperative and just like joined in doing this. And it was in general like quite crazy because I wasn't really sure what to expect in terms of like how many people would show up. And I think Bushiroad also wasn't really sure what to expect. But I mean, this really sounds like, it really sounds kind of like showing off, but it was impossible to walk in the venue because like I would enter it and immediately it'd be like picture sign, picture sign, and then like the security guards would get like angry at me for like blocking the walk paths for normal people in the mall. And so then Bushiroad like set up a little like signing booth for me like after I was done with my stages, and like so many people came by, whether it was like for Evolve or for Vanguard or just like for random, like they used to watch me a long time ago and stuff like that and just wanted to like say hi. So really, really cool experience. The crowd in the Philippines was really amazing. The people are so cool. Food was amazing too. Just really good experience overall. So really big thank you to Bushiroad for flying me out. And I really hope I can do this again next year, because there's definitely a lot of places, especially in Southeast Asia, that I'd love to go to and like meet the local players there, whether it's for Evolve or for Vanguard or just in general. So really surreal experience, honestly. I was very surprised by just how cool everyone was, honestly.
Was this your first excursion into Southeast Asia? Or?
Yeah, it was. This was actually my first time outside of Japan and Asia. So
well, I'm glad you had a good time. This is my home turf, so I appreciate that everybody treated you well.
I hope I can go to Singapore Indo as well.
Yeah, please do. You can stay at my place. You don't even gotta book a hotel. Yeah, I got a comfy couch. You can crash. But I was gonna say, like, I actually relate to you a lot because I also was I was kind of fulfilling the same role as you during Bushiroad EXPO in Indonesia. Mm-hmm. And when I saw you take a photo with like the crowd selfie, it's like, oh, I did that exact same thing. So,
yeah, right. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean that was a fun experience as well. And it's like, yeah, I'm the crowd here in SEAO really, really likes both Vanguard and Shadowverse Evolve. So it's like one of those things where you really get to feel the size of the community here when you do an event like this, which is always a fun time. So
yeah, it's really crazy because just in general, like I also met, what was cool is that I also met some of the people that they only started Evolve recently, but they were like playing in the SVO circuit for app Shadowverse 2. So yeah. They were like, oh, do you remember you casted my game like during top 8 like a couple of years ago? I was like, oh my god, I do remember, stuff like that. So it was really cool, just kind of like getting to meet just different sides of the community. And like now, especially with, a lot, like thanks to Shadowverse Evolve, I think there are some app Shadowverse players that, Evolve might have been their first like physical trading card game. And then they're kind of like, and then they're going into other trading card games as well. And so them getting that kind of like first experience, I think is also very cool. So I think we'll definitely have more opportunities to meet people from app Shadowverse at these events in the future as well. So it's very, very cool.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
And on the topic of food, Southeast Asia unmatched, by the way. I'll just let you know right now.
Although, dude, everything in Philippines is so sweet. And I was like, why is the spaghetti sweet?
Well, I guess we usually talk about like what you've played recently, but I guess we can cover that. You've played Idolmaster during that event.
Yeah. It's like in Japan, I mostly just kind of played a little bit of Sword here and there. But honestly, it's like it's as of late I've had like things, there's been a couple of like the big Shadowverse Evolve tournaments, but they keep clashing with work or like other things for me, so I haven't been able to participate. So there's also like the GCS coming up actually this weekend here in Japan. And
it's on the 17th, right? Yeah, we were talking about that later on.
Was like, hey, can you work on the 17th? I was like,
GG.
Yes. I was like,
It
well,
is
there
what
goes
it
that.
is. All right. So as you know, in EX area, we cover the news, the events that are coming up, and on this side of the episode, we actually split the podcast into two halves. On Chris's side, we talk about the JP side of Evolve, and on my side, the EN side. So let's talk a bit about the JP news that's happened recently since the last episode. Chris, why don't we get started?
Yep. So there's been quite a bit. There's actually been so much that we're gonna kind of split it between the two episodes that we talked about earlier. So you'll hear. We won't talk about the new cards revealed for Valar that was actually revealed, but we honestly have so much little stuff to talk about here and there that we kind of have to split
Pretty
it
much
in between. So first things first, I guess the thing that is the most recent is of course the release of set 12, which had this very unique edition of the it was basically like this EP card with of course Mistelina and Latika, which is really nice because it's like a UR style EP card. This thing looks amazing in person, and with like all these, like we kind of talked about this last time I think, but the supplies that you can exchange for it are now basically live. So you can start, if you pull this, then you can actually exchange for it now already. And this is kind of what the back of the EP card looks like. So it has this little like QR code and stuff that kind of instructs you on where to exchange for it, which is really, really nice. So make sure you don't miss out on that. And then the other thing that they announced, which I guess is like for app Shadowverse players, is pretty familiar site, is Crosscraft. So crossover is called in Japanese. So Crosscraft is going to be a format that we don't really know what they're going to do with for the time being. There's going to be some events here and there, but they're pretty casual so far. So I don't know if they're going to be like necessarily pushing this into like tournament play. Probably not necessarily. But basically the rules of it are that you choose 2 leader cards. So you have 2 leader cards at the start of the game. And then the leader cards that you choose, you have to have at least 1 or more of the cards of those classes in your main deck. So that way, if you choose like Erika and Arisa, then you can have Sword and Forest cards in your main deck and also in your Evolve deck as well. And then your main deck is still between 40 and 50 cards, and your Evolve deck is still 10 or less. So that part doesn't change. It's literally just like putting together the 2. So they basically do say that, you can have the 2 classes as well as neutral involved in there as well. So it's pretty cool. I think they also have this here too, which is the crossover Koryukai. So basically they're just like little social events for crossover decks specifically. They're very casual, so you don't get like ranking points or anything from them or anything, but they do give out these really cool Forest Bat promos. So
yeah, they look really good. It has Vania on it with like a chibi forest bat in the front. So for any Vania fans, in Japan right now, you can go ahead and pick this up. Yeah, I will say the restrictions are pretty loose. You only have to have 1 or more of one of the classes. It's not like, how in Crosscraft and Shadowverse app, you have to have like, 12 cards from your secondary class?
Yeah. So it's a lot more open in that sense, I guess you could say.
I think there's some pretty interesting builds you can go for in crossover as well. Like, for example, Spartacus and then Python to banish your entire deck and then just win off the Spartacus. So there's some pretty interesting ideas you can go for in that.
They gave some interesting example decks on the official stream. We're not going to go through everything from this stream because it also includes a lot of card reveals that would take too long. But you can see here, this is like Natura mix. So it's Balion and Valdane in the same deck that you can have. Or you can have like all 3 of the Machina sisters because, Mono and Enia are already in the same class to begin with in Evolve, but now you can have Tetra in the same deck too. So you can have the ultimate Machina deck, which I think this one looks really fun.
Yeah, just like the entire fully flavored one with like Belfnet in it as well. You got the entire even Iolon story deck,
Yeah, and then of course, so this from set 11 as well. You can combine, essentially like all of the, I forget what the
Wasteland.
The Wasteland is the pending translation, I guess, for this archetype. So you can combine Abyss and Sword as well to basically have a very strong aggro deck, actually, because that also makes your like Ralmi has really easy to proc as well. They give a lot of examples basically. So there's like Vincent, Witch Dragon is what they call it, or I guess Rune Dragon, including some of the new cards from the reprint set as well. Then there's, of course, can't forget about Folktale.
Fable. Yeah.
So you've got or not folktale, Fabled. Yeah, Fabled. You can have Alice, and of course you can have Haven and
Alice.
Forest in the same deck. 'Cause a lot of the Forest cards are pretty good actually.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lishana, the Rune, Haven. So this is like the ultimate control deck with Lishana and Medusa and Merlin in here as well.
That actually is kind of terrifying. Giving Lashana a Themis Decree is actually kind of terrifying.
Right?
Like, I
she
don't know
just like
about
constantly
that.
burns you while blowing up your board.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of interesting ideas. I wonder if this will be, because we've definitely seen things like this get ported into English a bit early. So I feel like maybe if in the comments below you guys go like, I really want Crosscraft in English ASAP, maybe we can show that to the folks over at the dev team, and then maybe they can fast forward this little, because like just doing this as like a once every couple months kind of like shop tournament event format. It could be pretty fun, or like a side event at a BCS or something too. So
please do leave any comments. We do read them, and I think Spotify lets you leave comments now too, which I probably don't know how to read that yet, but I do read the ones on the YouTube. So
we're
don't
card
worry
gamers. Our reading comprehension is quite limited. So yeah, there's the Crosscraft stuff, which is also pretty interesting. And then there's also this. So basically for any Kyushu CS tournaments happening in December, so starting from next month, just for participating, if you live in any of the prefectures in Kyushu, you get this lovely little Luna EP card. I think this will also be distributed in some other event as well, but just for participating in CSs, this will be given out. So especially for the folks in Kyushu, it's pretty cool. Having this kind of like regional support is pretty nice. So this was like if in the US they were like, okay, only people in California get this EP card.
Whoa. Yeah, and I will say the art is cute, like you said. It's sort of in the style of Shadowverse channel. If you've seen those streams, and it's like a chibi Luna and her little doll eating noodles.
Yeah,
so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Little like CS tournaments. I think starting from next year, I believe if you win a CS, you get an invite to the area championships.
Oh, that's nice.
Which will be very different from how it's been until now. So maybe the shop qualifiers won't be there anymore. Maybe they will. We don't know, but this will probably be the way to qualify for those instead. So there's that, and then of course they also announced that
this is the big news.
Yeah, Japan Championship for this year's circuit will culminate on the 1st and 2nd of March, which will be a Saturday and a Sunday. So there will be a live stream for it already confirmed. We don't know on our side if there will be a live stream. We hope
right.
We can do it again.
For the last Japan Championship, we did do an English restream. If you want to check that out, we're not sure if we're gonna do it again this year, but we'll see.
Yeah. So again, if you'd like that to happen,
make sure to leave a comment, please. We get to show it like, hey, look at this.
Yeah. So there's that, and then this is kind of like the general upcoming schedule for the next few months. So basically, November, coming to a close, but there's a Grand Championship Chiba. Then and also the Japan Championship area qualifiers are happening throughout this month and beginning like first half of December too. The crossover events will happen in December as well, together with the release of the Valar pack. And then January we get the EX collab pack for Umamusume together with the Grand Prix Kyoto at the end of January as well. So that one's going to be pretty interesting. I think we haven't had a Grand Prix in Kyoto before, so this will be interesting because they've done it in Osaka. They've done it in Nagoya, but I think maybe there was Kyoto in the very first year. Actually, I might be forgetting that one. And then of course the Edge of Paradise, essentially the equivalent of Edge of Paradise, will release on the 14th of February, so on Valentine's Day. So that's going to be 2 months basically after the release of Valar, and then there'll be like Umamusume like related events happening alongside January and February, and then Japan Championship is in March. So for the time being, it looks like there isn't any new product release in March. Maybe they haven't just announced it, but it does say here like going forward April onwards that there are new products currently in development. So I feel like if there was something in March, they would have put it in the March tab instead of the April tab.
Right.
So maybe,
usually new sets are 2 months apart anyway, just because Umamusume EX is coming out that it feels like more frequent recently.
And like April is always the anniversary month, so I'm assuming they're just like probably saving their efforts for that as well. So
yeah, makes sense.
Will it be another Omen set? I really hope it is.
Fingers crossed. As
yeah.
the #1 Galmu fan on planet Earth. That's what
Yeah, and I
want.
feel like it's also been a while since we had Omen support. So like in Japan, it's actually been a year since the last Omen cards have come out. So
I mean, I'll tell you right now that Omen of Storms, I feel like they should just dive into that because that's in digital, where like the Omens fought the Colosseum members, right? Like, and they
was that before Edge of Paradise or after?
Omen of Storms, I believe, was before Edge of Paradise.
I also think it was before.
Yeah.
So I feel like it makes sense to drop it around here because it's like, you know, Natura and Machina gets supported exactly once a year, always in November, basically, or like October, November. And then Omen's support has been more than a year, and the last Omen support was just a bunch of like bronzes and silvers.
Yeah, exactly. So, you can drop the Colosseum Omen set. You know,
yeah, I feel like that would be also very nice, right? If
support Amatas too, why not? You know, you can do stuff like that.
So like new Phylene, new everything. I think it'd be pretty cool. Especially like Colosseum Forest side is definitely feels a little bit like underdeveloped, I guess, at the time. So they could definitely make that something revolutionary. So that's the general schedule going forward on the Japanese side, and of course add a year to this for English for the most part. But it more or less adds up in that sense as well. So that's kind of like the majority of the product releases. And then, you know, or not just product releases, but also like events in general happening on the side of Japan, which I think is pretty interesting.
I will say, I think that they also said that the Edge of Paradise set will have a launch tournament planned. I think that was on the webpage, but
yeah, they have those for every set now.
Yeah, so, but there's not really any details for it. And also, if you guys haven't seen, the Velsar set does have the new SPs, so we've got Jean for Velsar and Merlin for.
Oh yeah. We'll go over that in a moment.
Okay,
well.
Sure.
So, but yeah, there's also like some of the new products happening in English as well. I mean, Verdant Steel is basically like just around the corner now. So I think we've definitely.
It might be out by the time this comes out, depending on how fast we get this out.
Yeah. But... Hopefully, this is out before that. But just to remind everyone, November 22nd is the release date for Verdant Steel. So make sure that you have your pre-order set and you're ready for the upcoming set. And of course, we kind of went over a lot of these details already last time, so we're not going to
the last episode.
It's
just a quick reminder that this is coming out. So yeah. Get your pre-orders in. Lots of new archetypes that are very, very strong in Verdant Steel. So you're gonna wanna check in.
Yep. And then also Alter Chaotica as well will be out in February. So this is, you know, still a few months away, but this is also very impactful, mainly because of this Orcus coming out. She's super, super strong. A lot of good support in general, like Ether for Sword. You've got the thin foil tokens. I'm personally a big fan of these. And then you've got the SP Mysteria Magic Founder as well. That I feel like we also maybe talked about this last time around. I think we'll just kind of go over everything from the... we'll go over a lot of the details of the English announcements on Igni's side of the episode. So you can look out for that. As for the Japanese side, the other product that's announced is, of course, next month. We're getting the Velsar set. And of course, like I think there's a lot of people's like fan favorites, especially like Sekka, I know is like super popular. And then, you know, like Drach as well. So these cards have actually already been revealed. But we're going to talk about them in the next episode because we have a bit too much to talk about in this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one if we go through.
But it's interesting like how they implemented Buff Dragon into app and stuff like that. It's definitely was a big question mark. But the biggest, I think I'll even play the trailer because...
That's the thing. I jumped the gun on this one because I was so excited. But yeah, the new SP rarities with the Jean in the Velsar set and the Merlin and the Edge of Paradise set. They look so good. I mean, if you're on YouTube right now, you can see it for yourself. But yeah, just like these fan favorite characters reimagined with brand new full arts. It's just beautiful.
It's so good.
This almost looks kind of Christmassy, almost, this one.
It is Christmassy. I mean, that's like, this set releases in Christmas, so I guess that's like the whole point of it, is that she's, you know, she's decked out in Christmas decor. But it's I wonder what the drop rate of these will be, right? Like how hard they will be to pull.
Does it say?
So, but it's nice. I think them embracing these like kind of, it reminds me a little bit of the like alt art legendaries in the app Shadowverse that we had towards the end. So it's like, you know, we had, because I guess they also like they had leader cards, and then they started doing like alt art legendaries, and now it's kind of like we're entering that stage of Evolve, I guess, where we go from leader cards to alt art legendaries, right?
Yeah, and they look freaking amazing. So, I mean, just as somebody who's like played Shadowverse for 8 years, seeing new arts of like old characters is always fun for me.
Yeah,
so.
right. That's definitely one of like the big appeal parts. So there's that. Then of course in January we already mentioned is the Umusume EX collab pack. We haven't seen too much detail for this yet because of course, you know, they're still slowly rolling out the information first for Velsar, and then they'll start the reveals for this afterwards. So look out for that in the future. And then the big announcement that we didn't know yet is of course the Edge of Paradise set coming out. So for me this was quite surprising because it feels like Edge of Paradise is, to me it feels recent. You know?
Yeah, it's not long ago, and in terms of like story sets, it's only like this and Heroes left basically, and it's like okay.
Like I think we still have like Academy.
Oh yeah, Academy and Heroes. Yeah, that'd be it, right?
Academy, Heroes. Like I think, but yeah, like in terms of like big story sets, this is like definitely towards the end. So yeah. I'm kind of wondering like what's, you know, are we gonna have like another Flame set? Are we gonna have like, you know, some Evolve Originals? Are we gonna have like, you know, this is all, we don't actually know these things, we're just guessing, but you know, we're gonna have like Worlds Beyond tie-in booster to like, you know, maybe it'll be like a bunch of like the legendaries in the first set of when Worlds Beyond comes out. Maybe that'll be like a theme
that
set.
would be hype, yeah.
Right. So maybe that's why they're trying to like just get the story stuff out the way so they can move on to the story stuff from like Worlds Beyond once that comes out. Because, you know, technically, you know, if Worlds Beyond is coming out in spring, there's not that much left. Like this is almost spring. It's February.
Yeah, what, like 4 to 6 months ish.
Yeah, so you do the anniversary set, and then probably boom, you probably want to start cross promoting Worlds Beyond, right? So maybe that's why they're trying to kind of like go through it a bit faster. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Hard to say, but yeah, it even says here it is the Edge of Paradise. So yeah, in Shadowverse, this is the 24th card pack. In regular in Evolve, it's the 14th.
And I believe Shadowverse in total has like what 32 card packs, so it's like it's getting close to the end there.
Yeah. So this is then we have the SP announcement video for this one as well, which was the Merlin. This one's really cool too.
Yeah. I love the art style in this one. It looks so unique. It's like Merlin smoking a pipe, going Gandalf style. I kind of love it.
This art is definitely like so. This art is so beautiful. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
so
really nice.
Huge fan. We will have, so they do say like new archetypes for all the classes.
It's probably like the adaptation of Festive, really, right?
Yes,
like,
exactly. It is the Festive archetype. So they do show Itsurugi for Abyss and Taketsumi for Sword. But yeah, to me, like this feels so recent. Like I feel like I already lived in Japan when this set came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's like not long ago, like legitimately.
Yeah, they do say there'll be a large scale event during the meta of this set. So
yeah, that's what I was bringing up earlier. Apparently there's like a big thing planned, but I'm not actually sure what the details are. I don't think
that usually means a GP, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting because like if you do a GP during this set, then technically Nationals hasn't happened yet. So will it happen like after Nationals, or will it be like maybe it'll be like a GCS kind of thing where it doesn't necessarily give a national slot? I don't know. We'll see.
It feels like a lot happening in a very short period of time, right? Because so this comes out on February, and then literally less than a month later is Japan Championships. It's like,
but last year was the same too. Yeah. We had like we had new set drop, and then literally like we had English Worlds, and then after English Worlds I remember I went to Sendai the week after to play in a event, and that still actually, it was last minute, like last chance to get a Nationals invite. So maybe this will be, you know, the week after Valentine's, maybe the weekend of Valentine's, you'll have a chance to lock in your final spot for Nationals. But I could see this being kind of like a last chance qualifier, maybe with this set as the meta set.
Bring your partner. Go to the last chance.
That's optimal Valentine's Day date is just you know,
playing Shadowverse of all. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, that's been a lot of the product information for the Japanese side. Definitely like some interesting stuff. I'm really happy with like the completely new alt arts as the ESPs. I think that's overall a very exciting thing to have in general. And And then in terms of events, I mean, there's actually been quite a lot on the Japanese side, because we had the GP for set 11 that we were kind of like talking about our expected like tops for that. And then since then we had set 12 come out, and there's been, you know, a bunch of CSs and also the Japanese like area qualifiers as well. And quite a lot of them have already concluded, and it's been pretty fun to see what the results have been.
Yeah, so shall we go over them a little bit, like as we...
Yeah. Like I think we can first take a look at, of course, the Grand Prix Chiba. So this is the great thing about Bushinavi in Japan, is that you can actually look at the tournament results. And so what's really cool is that they go up all the way to top 64. So you can actually see like all the different nation distributions here, which is really nice. So there's still a lot of the Vanguard collab sets that you see here. A lot of Abyss, a lot of Rune, a lot of Sword. But I guess we can maybe take a look at top 16 onwards. So we just kind of like briefly look through, which is really nice. You can preview these deck lists real quick too. So there's a lot of Dragonic Overlord, Kagero.
Yeah, not super surprising.
Yeah,
there's
even
after set 12 release, there is still a lot of Kagero running around. So
yes, it's honestly like I think the longest relevant collab deck, because I guess maybe it's rivaling Uma Musume stayed relevant for a very long time as well.
Yeah, right.
So
they might even come back soon.
yeah. Then we had No Name. No Name is a pretty prominent name. He got 15th with Earthright. So Earthright's still very much out there. The list hasn't really changed too much, I want to say. It's running one new card here. So you can actually boot up the deck log and tell you what the card does, which is also one of the great things of having this integrated Bushinavi system. So this was from set 11. Artist Mage has Rush, Bane, and Drain, and evolves for 2. And you can Earthright to choose a follower, one of your other followers, and give it Rush, Bane, Drain. And then on Evolve, it lets you choose an enemy follower and throw it into the EX area. So it's a 3/6 on Evolve too. These stats are actually for a 3-drop. I guess it does Evolve for 2, but
Rush, Bane, Drain, and it gives another thing, Rush, Bane, Drain. It gives you quite a bit of recovery in this deck now.
Especially because this is,
right?
To one in Japan.
Yeah, the Gingerbread House got restricted to 1, so this gives you another option to regain your life.
Yeah, so if you watched the JCS stream that we did, you'll know how strong
there's a lot of
is.
Earthright on that one.
Yeah, you've definitely seen this deck many times. Then of course more Overlord. I don't think we talked about Overlord last time around. Maybe not. I'm not sure.
On the last podcast? Oh, we definitely mentioned it. It was out by then, right?
Yeah, it was out by then. But, you know, Overlord's just it's a very strong, well-rounded package that has a lot of really good cards. It's like turn 1, you have Airmo. That's like a 1-drop with 2/2 stats that you can show an Overlord, a named card from your hand to your opponent to draw a card, and you have 6 Overlord named cards. So it's a 1-drop 2/2 that you start with the Vanguard collab decks. You start with a starter amulet that you can immediately use to buff one of your Vanguard followers +1/+1. So you basically have a turn 1 3/3 that is pretty hard to answer sometimes. You know, you do have things like Tar and stuff that like on 2 can sail into it with like a 3/1 in stats with Rush. And then you just have a lot of really good removal. You have this crazy card that is Burning Horn that basically says every time you drive check with something, you deal 1 damage to an enemy leader or follower. And, you know, you have Dragonic Overlord that if it like attacks into an enemy follower and survives, it, you know, refreshes itself so it can attack again. So you can do like 4 drive checks in a turn.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Same goes for the end. When you attack with it, you can pay 3 play points and discard a copy of itself to do in Japanese it does say stand it, which, you know, as a Vanguard player is a bit more of a familiar term, but you do refresh it in English. And then on top of that, you have like things like Aleph that can automatically evolve if you have Bar and Tar in your cemetery. So it doesn't contribute to your 1 per turn evolve. But when you evolve, it looks at top 3, finds a non-Aleph named Kagero follower and puts it to EX area and reduces its play cost by 3. So you can find basically, you know, even find Overlord and play it for 1, for example, and just evolve it for 1 if you automatically evolve the Aleph. So it does a lot of stuff. And then like the end is like a 6/6 with Storm that lets you get a play point back if you have an Overlord in your cemetery, and also lets you banish 5 Kagero cards from your cemetery to destroy all followers on the field. So it's
Yeah,
it does a lot.
That's a lot.
You have a 5-cost 6/6 that banishes 3 Kairos from your cemetery to destroy 2 enemy followers too, which this card is also, in a lot of people's opinion, this is the best card in the deck. So it's a very, very strong deck, very like just optimal in stats as well. So, and it's very well matched into any board-based meta. So that's why you see a lot of, we've seen 2 here already, like, we saw 16th, 14th, 12th. There's Tuckpawn as well. He did really well in the past, playing the, I guess, the so-called Wasteland Abyss, but together with Rose Queen.
Oh, they're still playing Crimson Rose Queen, so it's kind of like 2 Abyss, but
yeah, it's 2-cost Abyss, but with the generic tools of the Ice as well as the Zelganea. So
I mean, those are just good cards. So
yeah, exactly. Right. So basically, like this set, when this comes out, when Rose Queen drops in English, this will be a very, very good deck, which is basically like 2-cost Abyss. So there's been just basically more good 2-cost cards. Like you already had, the Idolmaster support, a lot of the Omen support that was good 2-cost cards. You're also going to have Dublame coming out basically next week in English. But we've got some of the good Wasteland cards as well that, for example, like this basically says, like, if you have on your field or an EX area Wasteland card, you heal your leader 2.
Yes, Wandering Chef, I believe his name is.
Yeah. And then on Evolve, you look at top 4 for a Wasteland card, reveal it, add it to your hand, put the rest at the bottom. So, and you do run a fair bit. You got like the
Dead to Rights.
Yeah, Death Rights. You got the Ishilindrig himself that this helps you find. I think it can find itself if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it can. It can actually find itself too. It can also find in Japanese called the Wild Lizard.
Yeah, Vagabond Lizard, I think it's
Vagabond
called
Lizard.
in English,
So it's 2/2 that Fanfare makes, like basically it makes the vehicles either on Fanfare or on Last Words on your EX area. So that also puts the stuff into your EX area to satisfy the Fanfare for this guy to heal you too as well, which is quite good. And then of course, Ishilindrig is basically like, he's kind of like a removal card. I think we talked about him last time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, summon a big train and then it like does everything. It's like really good.
His UR is very beautiful though. It's crazy good. So yeah, this deck is definitely was expected to do quite well. So we see it come with Tuckpawn in 13th. I think we have another Rune. This is again Earthright. Earthright's still really kicking, so that's good to see. In 10th, we have another Abyss. Again, 2-cost. Actually surprised to see 2-cost did so well. Then we have another Overlord list here in 9th, and then top 8. We have the Grand Prix finalists out here. So we have Overlord. We have another Abyss here. This one is actually... this one's very different.
That's very weird with Odile and all of them.
Yeah, so this is, again, good cards. Good generic cards are always here, but this looks more like Control actual Wasteland Abyss. So it's like even using the Ilganu as well. She basically... so on Fanfare, she lets you choose a 3-cost or lower Wasteland follower from your cemetery. And if you have Necrocharge 10, she plays it immediately. And if you did, then she banishes herself. And she's a 1-drop that revives a 3-cost, right? So that's pretty good. And on Last Words, she puts herself to EX area and buries the top card of your deck. So she's really good for just like general Abyss because she's a 1-drop, right? So that's already quite useful just in and of herself. And then in terms of like the 3-drops, like obviously you cannot get back Ice himself, but you do have some of the potential cards you can have. So this one is the Igyo. I'm not sure what his English name
Wraith,
is.
I think.
Wraith.
So, yeah.
This evolves for 1, but you can only do this if it was played from the cemetery. And otherwise it has Rush, and Last Words, it makes one of the vehicles and buries the top 2 cards of your deck. And when it does evolve, it has Storm as a 4/3, and it chooses an enemy follower and deals it 5 damage too. So it's actually very good as like something you revive from a 1-cost. And this one as well is one of the targets, 3/3, that once per turn, when your original cost 1 token would leave the field, you can play a token with the same name as it on your field. So that's also very good because it loops the vehicles that buff your stuff. And on Fanfare, it lets you basically send a other card from your field to the cemetery to choose an opponent's follower and deal it 4 damage. So just like really good removal options in general that you get from a 1-drop. So pretty good stuff. I also like when Sylvia is played.
Yeah.
She basically has a hand effect that for 2, you can discard her for hand and pay 2 play points to choose a 5 cost or greater enemy follower and just destroy it. So this is really good for like, this was played back in the day for taking out Orcus's evolved form, I want to say. No, it wasn't Orcus that this was taking out. What was this? It was taking out Anastasia, I think. It was mostly used for like taking out Anastasias that were like buffing up like the whole boards. But it was played against Orcus back in the day. So
I want to correct myself. It's Wretch, not Wraith. They're wretches.
Yeah, the English names I really forget very easily, so I'm glad you're here to help. Then in 6 we had a Rune, again, another... Ooh, but this plays a pretty cool tech that we've seen in Earthrise during the Vanguard meta in particular. Which
Pure Shot Angel.
Yeah. So this is a 5 cost 5/5 that on Fanfare deals 3 damage to enemy follower. And if you evolve her, that's where the interesting stuff happens. She becomes a 6/6 that chooses an enemy follower and deals it and its leader 3 damage. But it being a 6/6 is like just out of range for Kagero to take care of it unless it uses its like removal, like pinpoint removal targets. So it's a kind of like a meta pick into the Kagero meta for the most part.
Cool.
Then we have Enawa in 5th. This is one of like the most best achieved players in Japan. Was playing. So this looks
Spartacus.
You might think this is Wasteland sword because you saw not, but it's not. This is 1 cost sword. So this basically uses the, what is it, Avatar of Creation it was called?
Alter Plane Arbiter.
Arbiter, yeah. So this allows you, this is from set 8. It lets you declare a number and you bury the top 5 cards of your deck and deal X damage to all enemy followers. And X equals the amount of cards you buried with the cost of the number you declared. So you declare 1.
So you just say 1 and then you bury your entire deck and then deal 12 bajillion damage?
Yeah, you basically, you bury the top 5 and then just like, you know, you throw 5 damage AoE to everything.
And then because you're burying so much, the 1 of Spartacus can help you get that alternate win con as well, kind of? Is that the idea there?
So like this also lets you get back cards, but a lot of the 1-drops help you draw / like deal damage or like survive and whatnot. A lot of the Vanguard cards especially. There's a lot of search, lots of removal. And then because you dig through the entire deck so much, you just play 1 Spartacus because you will draw into it no matter what. And then Spartacus is from set 9 and says at the beginning of your end phase, you can discard any number of cards from your hand and then draw X amount. X equals the amount you discarded plus 1. And then if your remaining cards in deck are 1 or less, you win the game.
Yeah, that's very similar to how Spartacus is in digital as well.
Yeah.
That's a very fun list there. So you have the burn plan by
I think this one was
spamming
kept
out
pretty quiet leading up to the event. So there was a different version of this that existed in the Vanguard meta. I actually played against this in the GP in Nagoya, but that was still like kind of like the early inception of it. But now with Not you get like good removal on top of everything. So it's really, really cool. We'll see Not a bunch, so I can go over her as well. She's a 4 cost 3/5 that searches your deck for a 1 cost sword card and puts it to your EX area. Whoop-de-doo. Like,
hey,
what perfect synergy.
1 cost sword. There you go.
And then for 0, you can choose an enemy follower and engage it. And until the end of the opponent's next turn, it gets boxed, is like what the translated, I guess like our it becomes like boxed state. So the box is like these things. These are the boxes. So it gets cubed.
It gets cubed.
In any follower that is in the boxed state loses all of its abilities and does not refresh during the refresh phase. So you basically like paralyze them on the board, which is really strong. And then her spell basically is it chooses a boxed enemy follower, destroys it, and then you search your deck for a Wasteland follower and add it to your hand. So basically loops your Not, which is like you play
really
Not, search this, destroy the thing, search for another Not, and then keep boxing stuff. So that like you basically like, can just stall until you're ready to Spartacus.
Yeah, and you also have the burn plan with the altar flame as well. It's kind of a fun little list.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, out of like, I can't remember what the exact player is. 1,386 players.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, this came 5th, so it's pretty good. It's pretty cool. We still had
Dang.
one more sword list in here, but top 4 we had Earthright.
Earthright, yeah. No surprise
Unfortunately,
there.
this event wasn't streamed, so that's I think like my saddest part of it. I was really hoping to see these decks played
Right,
out.
especially like that sword list we just talked about. That would have been awesome to see in action.
Right, that's like the saddest part. And
Third
top
place
3 we
also
had
playing a
Natsume.
similar? No, it's not. So
Yeah, Natsume's list. Natsume is another player that's like super well achieved, and you can see he's very dedicated to Evolve because we have the SP Knots. This
three
is,
of, yeah.
for the YouTube viewers, this is an exclusive. You won't be able to see this otherwise. And
Is
also
that
like
the wedding rare as well for the
what a flex, right? He won these. I mean maybe hasn't won 3, but maybe bought the remaining ones of the Bunny and Baron. So Bunny and Baron is the other Wasteland legendary. That's a 3-cost 3/3 that it doesn't do anything. It just evolves for 1. And when it evolves, it lets you choose one of the following. Either play like the Car 5 or search your deck for the Desperado shot and add it to your hand.
Yeah,
and I think if I go to the side here, I can show you the car. So the car is a 2-cost 3/3.
Getaway vehicle.
Yeah, the getaway vehicle. So this one it has Storm, and when it attacks, it if you have another Wasteland follower, it lets you draw 1. But the act effect is you can engage your Bunny and Baron to like maneuver this, and it becomes a 3/3 follower instead of an amulet. And then you can pay 1 and engage 2 of your followers alternatively to also maneuver it. So you have 2 different ways to maneuver it, whether we have Bunny and Baron on board or not. And then otherwise there's a 3/3 with Storm that lets you basically like draw cards. So it's actually quite good. And then the Desperado's shot is over.
It's also in that same page just now.
Yeah, so it's just over here. So it's a 2-cost spell that lets you choose an enemy follower and then deal it 4 damage. And if you have Bunny and Baron and the car on board, then it deals 6 damage instead and 2 damage to the leader. So it's a lot of damage for a 2-cost spell.
Just for 2, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and so otherwise you play a lot of like the good Wasteland cards that we looked at earlier. You also have the Radical Gunslinger that makes the vehicles. They all make vehicles that basically buff your cards. And then this lets you, she engages herself in 2 of your vehicles to deal 2 damage to an enemy follower or enemy leader, which is really strong for a 2-drop, for a 1-drop even, not even a 2-drop. And then
yeah, and I also see one of the new swimsuit cards in this deck. Is that right? In the very end there, or what card?
This is an Idolmaster card.
Oh, it's an Idolmaster card. I totally.
Yeah, this was the sword 4-drop that is lets you banish 2 cost 1 cards from your cemetery to either destroy an enemy follower or deal damage to an enemy leader or draw 1 and discard 1.
I didn't even recognize it because it's an SP version. This guy really is flexing.
dude is mega flexing. I mean, a lot of these players, they really love Evolve, so they're very dedicated to their decks as well. But this deck was very popular going into the tournament just because it's also very aggressive. Played a lot of the good cards until now, like Ralmia and Leod. And also, this is Seria. She's from set...
Yeah, Celia. She got the new art from the swimsuit set, and she's still
this is set 9.
She
this
gets to evolve into
this
either...
is a CS promo.
Oh, it is? Okay,
yeah,
okay. Oh, yeah. But she also got a
promo.
swimsuit alt as well, I believe. In
I
the
think...
new swimsuit set.
Actually, no, I don't think she does have a swimsuit alt.
I think I pulled it. So.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong then.
I don't know. But yeah, she has she gets to evolve into Hope Strategist or Despair's Messenger, so that's also a fun little thing. Yeah.
So she has her 2 different forms. It's nice that you can flip through them in Decklog too.
Yeah. Decklog is a good website.
So that's the 3rd place Wasteland Sword. And then the top 2, we had Earthright in 2nd. And in 1st place was actually Kuan.
Yeah.
Literally the only one in top 16, I think.
Still doing Kuan stuff. There you go.
This is Kuan, by the way. Don't get fooled.
Don't get it twisted. But what's fun is that this plays a bunch of the chess cards too. Like, I think
it's changed a lot.
Now,
it's really changed a lot. It runs a chess engine now, and it's been running the chess engine for a while. So this is a new deck.
I'm just talking about like in terms of differences between this Kuan and the one in English right now.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, if you play digital, no surprise. Crystal Fencer is in there too. Yeah.
I'm going to try to see if there's any other big surprises that came up in the top 64. But in terms of looking at the classes, it's like Sword, Rune, Abyss, and and the Vanguard collab set.
Kagero, yeah.
So there's been a few like other like Control Abyss and stuff also popped up here and there. And it's like, I kind of want to like flip through some of the Vanguards to see if there's anything not Kagero in there, but it's mostly...
Seems unlikely.
Yeah, it's all just Overlords. Overlord stuff.
I mean,
kind of like surprised that Forest didn't really show up, but there's an Overlord that plays Maelstrom as like a Storm option on top of everything. Oh, there is a, look at that, Aquaforce. There we go. There was an Aquaforce. So this deck is like super aggro. It plays around Maelstrom, which basically says if this turn you've attacked 4 times with your other Aquaforce followers, it evolves automatically into Glory Maelstrom. And Maelstrom himself is a 3/3 with Storm and Twin Drive, that when it basically, Glory Maelstrom becomes a 4/4 with Storm and Twin Drive, that when this would deal damage to the enemy leader, just through like attacking, you can choose an enemy follower, destroy it, and draw 2 cards, which is like crazy strong.
Yo.
This also found itself topping. Kind of curious if there was anything else, but mostly
it's mostly Kagero. I mean, I don't really blame them though. It's a pretty high stakes event now. It's a GP.
Yeah, right. So it's one of the majors. Really was hoping to participate in this one, so quite unfortunate. But yeah, it looks like in terms of the classes, the regular Shadowverse classes like Abyss, Sword, and Rune that really came out on top. Haven unfortunately didn't really find its footing, at least not in the top 64. I will go through some of the other results beyond top 64 privately myself, but this was the biggest event, I guess, from the time that since we recorded the last one. So it was definitely a cool little event. So congrats to Yuno for winning it all, and Koei for coming second, and Natsume for coming third, and Bufferon for coming fourth as well. So very, very cool little event. And then since then, we've also
there's been a lot of events after set 12 as well. So all the CSs basically.
Yeah.
Up
so this is where things get a bit more familiar for the English viewers, because you're like, hey, I know this card and 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 this card. Like, you know, it's a lot more familiar. This was I think the first week. Yeah, this was literally the first weekend of the release. So Lydica is back. My girl's back.
She's back because they basically supported Natura again with set 12, right? It's like kind of the world uprooted set is what's happened here.
Yeah. So Natural Mechanism we kind of talked about before. This is basically like when discarded, you can engage a tree and then
I remember.
Take a natural card from your cemetery that isn't Natural Mechanism back to hand, which is really good.
And
also has like
in the last episode,
on-play
we were
effect too.
Talking about how this card is going to give PTSD to all the digital players, and we were talking about this last one.
I think in Natura decks, this one is only used for the discard effect though, because the other effect is like on-play Search for Machina. So you don't really use it for that. But there's quite a few interesting cards that are just good in the set in general. There's the spell, the Kasanari Kitsi in Japanese.
What was it called? Like Arissa's leadership and Latica's resolve or something like that.
This is like their resolve, like that overlaps.
Yeah.
It's like my internal Google Translate. But it's a 1-cost spell that basically lets you choose one of the following. Either choose a Natura card on your field and send it to EX to choose an enemy follower, deal 3 damage, or play 2 fairies.
Ooh.
So that's pretty good. This is good for fairies. This is also good for like just looping. I mean, you can freaking loop this tree, dude. You can just throw this thing in the EX and play it again to heal 6 and a
heal 5 bajillion,
Yeah, so this is pretty good.
The one of Maisha and one of Purgation's Blade is quite fun too.
Yeah, this I think also in English people should really think about this, because I think it's actually quite strong. I mean, Maisha's like, she's on evolve, pay 5, mill 5, like bury top 5 to get Storm.
Yeah, and then like the Purgation's Blade gives her buffs depending on how many cards, like units you have in your cemetery. So it's like, yeah,
the amount of followers in your cemetery, she gets plus.
So you just get like a 5 bajillion attacker and just go straight to the dome
casually. There is a neutral card that's played in majority of the Natura decks, which is the
Changewing Cherub.
Changewing Cherub, there we go. Not a Dual Angel.
That's right.
So she's a 1/1/1 that puts a repair mode or a tree in the EX area.
I say that, but sometimes they change the name of the card in the English translation for Evolve anyway.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
You're giving me another name to memorize.
What's important to keep in mind is that she's both Natura and Machina and Natura. So on Evolve, she also lets you look at if you, what is it? If you have 5 or more in combination of Machina or Natura, Machina and Natura cards between your field and EX, she lets you deal 2 damage to enemy follower. So quite strong actually. And then another generic piece is this is a 2-cost spell, I think, in app, no?
In app, yeah, it's Traveler's Respite.
Yeah, Respite. So this is look at top 3 for a it's either a Natura or a we were just talking about it. Cowboy trait.
Wasteland?
Wasteland, thank you.
I'm thinking it. This is just a guess. I think it might be translated to Outlaw or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I guess it might become Outlaw, yeah. So like either
yeah.
Outlaw or Natura card from top 3 added to your hand, but the rest at bottom. And if you have an Outlaw card in your EX area, then heals you leader 1. So you don't really play many Outlaws, but this is just a Natura Searcher, which is like pretty good. So you do, it's kind of interesting how they just like added that as a trait. And
yeah,
then also,
so this is the runner-up for Nagano, I believe, right? Is it for the 3rd week of October?
Yeah, it is. And then we also have the Carbuncles, also from this set, that puts the, what is it called, the Sparkle?
Yeah, Carbuncle Sparkle, I believe.
Yeah, the Sparkle into your EX area on Fanfare, and if you evolve it for 2, then it puts another one into your EX area, and then all of your Sparkles in your EX area get cost -2.
Yeah, that's very similar to the app version. If you guys are not unfamiliar, this is the card that goes ow 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 in the digital game.
Exactly, it's the one that goes ow ow ow. So the Sparkle itself is 2 play point spell that lets you choose either bounce an opponent's follower back to bounce one of your followers back to hand, or heal 4 to your leader, or draw 2. So
boy, that's like way better than it is in digital. Oh my god!
Heal 4 especially is like, what? Are you sure you want to let me play this for 0?
Well, they made it so much better than it is in digital. That's crazy.
So Latiga's cooking. Good for her.
And then next up we have the Gunma winner, which is Natura Sword, I believe.
Yeah, so Natura Sword also
got some new tools, right? Like Patrick the Rhinoceros or whatever.
Yeah, big boy Patrick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what that does. Pretty, like the same as before, but Patrick's like he's 5-cost 4/4 that plays a Natura tree in your field or EX and has ward. And if you evolve him for 1, he basically if you have 5 or more Natura cards between your field and EX, he heals you 5 play points.
That's pretty good, actually.
So he's literally a 1-drop 5/5 with ward, essentially.
And heals you.
Yeah. So
what the heck?
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So he's one of the new cards. We already talked about the Cherub. We do have
there's
the
a new card that's I always forget what the combined version is called, but it's like Erica's Slight, Baleon's Command, and Mistelina's Strike or something like that.
Yeah,
the combined
so all of those
version,
combined are Shinen no Kensen, I think, in Japanese. It has like this card. Look at it. It has 5 different traits.
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
It's got all of
them. Officer.
Yeah. So when you would play this, you also have to engage 2 of your trees as an additional cost.
Okay,
if you can't play this. And you choose an enemy follower and one of your natural followers on field. The one you chose before that takes 5 damage, and the one you chose after that, and also the enemy follower takes 5 damage, and the enemy leader takes 2 damage, and your follower gets +1/+1 buff. The way they word this in Japanese is really weird because like the thing you chose before takes 5 damage. The leader of the thing you chose before takes 2 damage, and the thing you chose after gets +1/+1. It's like I guess it saves space because it's kanji, but I feel like in English this wording will be
very awkward.
Yeah. That's a good card. I mean, it's a removal spell for 2 basically. But you do have to like rest 2 trees that I guess your Baleon could just
can't you buff up your Mistelina with that and then discard the trees with Mistelina as well? So it's kind of like another option to like, you know.
Mistelina, she engages the trees.
Okay, so it's
Baleon.
Okay, so the other one. Yeah,
Baleon's the one.
I got them mixed up. But it's kind of like another way to get a little bit more damage off your storms. So
this card's also really good. It's like 2/2 storm that plays
Panther Scout.
I'm starting to struggle.
I'm starting to struggle here, man.
Yeah,
remembering the names.
But like 2/2 storm that makes the trees like really good.
Yeah.
So we had Natura.
And then the next up is the Shizuoka winner, which is actually
Haven.
Machina Haven, which got a bit more support.
Yeah, so like all the classes are, it's kind of like the same as Machina when it first came out, and Natura as well. Like,
oh, they get Gulus. Okay, yeah, just for everybody at home, like again, Portal Craft doesn't exist in Shadowverse Evolved, so the portal cards are all like spread out,
scattered.
And Haven is the one that gets Gulus this time.
Yeah, so this is you choose a 2-cost or lower Machina follower in your cemetery and plays it for free on Fanfare, and it lets you banish 2 repair modes from EX to get Storm, and then it evolves for 1 to either deal 5 damage to enemy follower, or choose one of your oh my god, or buff all of your Machina followers by +1/+1 except for himself.
Wait, that's really good.
Damn.
And that does translate the app effect pretty accurately, the Gullian Howl and the Gullian Aura, so it makes sense. And we also have, much to my chagrin, Rolla being transplanted from Dragon into Haven.
Unfortunately, yes, she is indeed in Haven instead of Dragon. So 2-cost 2/2 that evolves for 2, and she puts into repair mode into EX. And if she was played by an effect, she evolves automatically for free. So
so does it not even count for your evolve that turn?
And when she evolves, she lets you choose between 2 effects. One of them is to deal damage to enemy follower equal to the amount of Machina followers on your field. And the second one is just to give her Storm.
Wow.
So she's a 3/3 with Storm.
I mean, this is good because we were talking about Verdant Steel as it relates to English earlier for another video we did, and it's like we were talking about how Haven doesn't have like in the current state of it doesn't really have like a concrete win condition, but now they have tons of storms and that you can buff up with Gulus, so it kind of makes sense that the deck got a bit of a push here.
You also have a Searcher now thanks to Natural Machinus as well.
Yeah, true.
Also, this funny card,
Salvation X Livonia, yeah.
So this is like, when you would play this, if you discarded Heavenly Aegis as the cost, it costs 2 less. Just like a funny little additional way to play it. You choose a 3-cost or lower Machina follower from your cemetery, play it, and if that follower is Limonium, then you put a repair mode to your EX area. But even as a 2-cost, it just plays a 3-cost. Like, this is literally
it's a 3-cost and gets you a repair mode. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, so quite good. There's also this dude.
I will level with you, Chris. I have no idea what his name is in English.
I don't remember either.
I've seen this card. I just have no clue.
Yeah, he's a 2/2 that puts a repair mode into EX, and if it was played by an effect, then he buffs all of your Machina followers by +1/+1. Wait, suddenly there's so much synergy with Limonium.
You can use that for either summoning off of the Limonium Evolve or the spell, right? You can.
Yeah.
And then you buff everything with Gulus?
That's... Yeah, this is like buff Haven now.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, like this is what we were hoping to see for Haven in like the first time this came out.
Yeah.
Let's see, this one is when you play a repair mode, you can choose one of your followers and give it Bane. And then this puts a repair mode to EX on Fanfare, and if you have 3 or more repair modes in EX, she draws a card.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, like honestly, like a lot of really strong
like
additions.
Better statted Marcotte now, basically in most cases.
Yeah. It's also the Sloth.
Slaus, I believe. Yep.
So when this is, when you would put a card to your EX area, you can engage this to destroy an enemy follower. That like pairs really well with all the repair mode generators. And on Fanfare, you pay 2 to search for his spell and put it to EX area, but I don't think you play it for that. I think you literally just play this because of the repair modes, and it's just like, he's constantly sitting there destroying your opponent's stuff, and if you don't answer him, then he'll keep doing that. Can
I just go on a quick aside real quick? It's kind of unrelated, but my game store, my LGS in Singapore, has a serial Slaus.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a point of pride for me.
Damn. He's got his role now.
Yeah.
It's actually really good synergy too. So that was the first week. And then the second week is when people started to realize that, hold up, Dragon is actually insane.
So this is the second week of the set 12 release, but it's the 4th week of October, I believe.
Yeah, 4th week of October. So first one was this was in
Gunma's top 4.
Top 4 was Machina Rune. So we talked about I mean, we've talked about Machina Rune in a different video that's not out yet. So it feels bad, but it's basically a very like removal heavy deck. And you kind of see like Cherub is just played in everything. But the additions here, this spell is really cool because it's a 7-cost spell that says you banish this when you play it, and both players put their entire hand and their entire cemetery back to deck, shuffle it, draw 5, and then the next card you would play this turn costs 7 less.
What?
So this is
that's Rebel Against Fate. I remember that one.
Yeah, this is Rebel Against Fate. But
it's so different
also
than it is
Rebel
digital.
Against Dimension Shift.
Oh my god, dude, that's so funny.
This card is actually really good. I think, especially if you expect Dimension Shift to be good, you just play this in a Rune deck and just
no cemetery for you. It also beats out the quest for Vincent and the Idolmaster Rune card too.
Yeah, and also like for Abyss in general, it
gets rid of the EX areas of Haven. It doesn't get rid of EX area. My bad. It's only cemetery and
hand. Yeah.
Okay. That's still interesting though. That's very funny.
Yeah.
And we got the new Belphomet Reaver of Aeolin as well.
Yeah, new Belf is really, really good.
World Reaver, I believe. Yeah.
He's got all like the tentacles going on now. So this one like makes the tentacle that's a 2/4 with ward and heals you later 4 when destroyed.
It's Dojinshi Belphomet.
Yeah.
Not like this.
He evolves for 1, but he also lets you pay 3 and banish 2 EX area Machina tokens. Or I think it's Machina. To put this from your hand to EX area. And then he makes the thingy-majigs.
Tentacle?
He makes the both of the... I think that effect immediately plays out both of the tokens, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just...
The assault and the defense tentacle. Okay.
Yeah, it makes both. So both the heal 4/1 as well as the deal 4/1 that has the 4/2 with Storm, which sounds kind of insane.
Yeah,
his evolve form is on evolve. He discards a Machina from hand to make the... This is the Storm one. Yeah, he makes the Storm one from evolving. So it's actually very good. Makes a lot of stats on board, which is quite strong. So especially because this deck I feel like was lacking damage. So it was just like a stall deck that just like takes care of your opponent's board, but didn't really have like the aggressiveness that I would have liked it to have. I got some other cards as well, but for me, the real highlight, honestly, that especially now that it's been a few weeks, so in Japan the meta is definitely starting to like settle a little bit, is Natra Dragon Dude. Are you ready?
Yes, Hiroshima winner, I believe. Sorry, I'm just okay. I'm good. I just gotta.
You're gonna want to listen for what Plesiosaurus does.
Yeah, so, man, this is one of my favorite cards in digital. So
during your turn, whenever you would discard one or more cards from your hand, choose an enemy leader or follower, deal it 2 damage, not once per turn.
Oh my god! My beloved is back from digital into physical.
And on Fanfare, by the way, this banishes a tree from your field to draw 1, which means the tree procs to draw 1, discard 1, which means you immediately proc 2 damage.
Oh my lord.
And then the evolve version is on evolve, discard 1 card from hand, heal your leader 2. So just from...
Very similar to the digital effect.
Just from playing it, you've already procced the effect twice. But then again, all the Nitra stuff procs this like time and time and time again. So you're just constantly ping, ping, ping.
We're playing Jerva?
Yes,
that's like one of my favorite cards of all time.
So Jerva on play discards your entire hand, so that procs that as well. But he also says at the start of your end phase, you deal 5 damage to all other followers, including your own, and draw 1. And on evolve, he basically just becomes a 5/5 that at the start of your end phase deals 5 damage to not just all followers, but also the enemy leader.
Okay.
And then draws 1.
Okay, I know what I'm playing next year, because like this has all my favorite cards in it. So like this is the one I'm playing.
There's also the Pachycephalosaurus.
Pachycephalosaurus, yeah.
Yeah. This one is last words make a tree, and then evolves on evolve, choose an enemy follower, deal 2 damage. This turn, if you have discarded any cards, deal 4 instead. So as basically like 3 play points to do that is quite good.
Oh, you also have a Rockback also added in
this one?
Yeah,
true. Ankylosaurus. Plays a tree on Fanfare, and on Fanfare you can also pay 1 and discard 1 to choose enemy follower, deal 3 damage. That also
very similar to how it is in digital. Yeah, this is sort of like a very faithful Natura remake, yeah. But now I get to play Jerva in it, so it's even better. So I think I know what I'm playing, man.
We have Dragonic Rage.
Cursed Furor, I believe.
Yeah, it was Furor. But this is pretty cool. It's if you're an overflow, this gains quick, which is already like and the effect is you choose an enemy follower, deal it 4 damage, and play a tree.
Damn.
So having that on a quick is quite good.
Yo, wait, hold up. Okay.
And the whole time you're burning with Valdane's spell as well. So,
dude,
it's good. So
this is the one I'm playing. Like, it's got all my favorite cards in it. It has Valdane, Stegosaurus, not Stegosaurus, Plesiosaurus, and Jerva in it. Okay,
yep.
It's a lock. Next up is the Osaka winner, I believe.
Yeah. So we have the Machina Abyss, probably the most popular deck of them all. In terms of the additions, we do talk about this deck in quite big depth in a video that'll come out soon, so you can look forward to that. But the big additions were, of course, Enawa, Bokuga Mamoru.
Roly-poly, yeah, there it is.
I didn't know his Japanese name was Manmaru Ichigo. It's like Manmaru, like the first.
Yeah, it's Roly-poly Mark 1, so kinda,
yeah, like Mark 1. So he's a 1/1/3 with a ward that says as long as you have Ene on board, any 2 or more damage he receives becomes 1. And for 1 play point, you can play this from your cemetery to the field, and he gets +1 attack and last words. He banishes himself, but you can only use this effect if you have Ene on board. So it's very like faithful.
Pretty good though. Cemetery to the field means that you always have an option. Like if you're low on hand, you still have an option to flood your board for mono, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
In that sense.
And then there's a big debate right now on if you actually want Aishilindrig.
Yeah.
Because he kind of clashes with what mono wants to do. So you'll see that over the weeks this kind of gets cut. The big one is Noin.
Nayan, yeah, I believe.
Noin's really good. It's 3/3/3 that puts a product machine or forest bat to your field, and then 1 to your EX of the same, that you, like whichever one you want to choose. And on evolve, it lets you basically give +1 attack to all of your cost 1 followers in your EX in your field.
That's really good.
So
especially because they all get rushed off the mono effect
mono
too.
The next turn and just like goodbye.
Yeah, with mono and Nayan, it's +3/+3 and rush together.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of crazy.
And then you have the Vault, which is a 1 cost that lets you choose between 2 effects. 1 is to deal 2 damage to the enemy leader and 1 to your leader. And 2 is to play a product machine and 1 on your field, 1 on your EX. And then if you have mono in play, instead of playing 1 to EX, you play both to the field, which is really good.
It's nice to see the OG cast appear as a card as well. I would like to see them as followers eventually in the future for Evolve.
Surely they will eventually, right? I mean, they were in the app.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that seems pretty good. Just like mono coming back. I mean, it makes sense that they pushed support for all the Machina and Naturo stuff, and it just ended up, really putting them on top again. So that's fun.
Yep. And so basically I think we, as of the time of making this, if I'm not mistaken, there might have been the second week of results we can take a look at quickly. That's literally the last thing we're doing in this part of the episode. But this was basically the area championship. So it's technically like the highest stakes tournaments, more so than the CSs. So you really see the real meta.
So this is in the first week of November, I believe. And this actually qualifies you to the Japan Championship?
Yes, the top. So it depends on the region. So the different regions have different amount of people qualifying. So sometimes it's top 4, sometimes it's top 2, sometimes just the first, depending on how populated the region is, basically.
All right.
So Kagero still doing good.
So this is the winner of Kansai, yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to see some, getting a bit worried for future.
I mean, look, not to put the lead, not to like bury the lead here, but like it's in Kansai, 3 of the 4 qualifiers were Kagero.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Machina Abyss, so that's nice at least.
Yeah, Machina Abyss, as you can see, is very different now, right? It's like there's no more Aishilindrig. Instead, it's like just kind of like a lot of the old cards, basically.
Yeah, the Nicola spell, Bone Drone. Yeah, a lot of the old cards just adding Nayan and the Roly-Poly, basically, and the Garnet Waltz. Okay.
Yeah, the one thing is that we didn't look at the spell for Luna. So this one is you choose 2 Machina followers from your cemetery that add up to cost 5 or lower, and play them to the field.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Plays you a mono and plays you a Noin, I guess.
9, yeah.
Sounds pretty good. It is a 5 cost, so you do use up so then you don't have play points for mono's like additional effects. So maybe mono's not the play for that, but it does choose followers, so it You choose up to 2, so you can choose just 1 as well. And they don't have to be Abyss, they just have to be Machina. So technically you could just play Nam.
Get Natural Machinas, yeah.
Yeah. So that's also an option. Then we have another Kagero, and Kuan. Would you look at that?
This is for Kanto. I believe Kanto B. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, Kanto B, because Kanto is huge. So
yeah, they split into 2. Yeah.
Yeah, it's split.
So the winner
2.
for Kanto B was D Shift with the chess package, which was also the winner of the set 11 Chiba GP. So yeah, still going strong.
Here we have another Machina Abyss. Again, we're seeing. So this is Kenio. Kenio is a friend of mine. He's a good friend of Nini as well, who was the Chiba winner last year. And he's the biggest mono fan you'll ever meet. He literally bought like an English Glory Finder box just for the mono leader. He's always asking me like, because English has like the mono APs now for BCS. And he's like, how can I get that? How can I get that?
We also get the mono mats, which we'll talk about later. Bro.
True, yeah. I think he also asked me to help him get that too. Like, he's the biggest mono fan ever. So he was really happy that he was featured on the website with mono of all decks. So
absolutely, that's awesome. And like you said, like no more Eichelendrig, and instead we're playing the Eichelendrig spell, but not Eichelendrig himself. And we're also running Sanguine Core here, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think Sanguine Core is pretty typical for these Machina decks now. Oh, you get to see the rarity here. There we go.
Yeah, there it is. We got the
waifu, because he's a
the
max
waifu Techno Lord and the waifu Natural Machinas too.
Yeah. So this spell, by the way, if you're curious, is like the one cost effect is just you choose an enemy follower, you'll give it -2/-2. But this also lets you combine, like basically you can choose this and an Eichelendrig in your cemetery and banish them to choose an enemy follower and engage it.
Interesting. So that's the Dead to Rights Eichelendrig spell. That's so basically that's being used in this deck just as a quick removal spell, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just it's a good card, right?
Yeah. And then the other winners in Kanto B, other than the actual winner, like the other qualifiers, got Machina Abyss, like we said, and then we also have Heal Haven.
This is so not even Asoko no Hito. He's very known for Haven specifically. So
not even Machina, just like straight up control heal. We got Sanctuary, we got Themis, we got Set, like all the healing cards basically.
Yeah, wow. I don't even remember what some of these do. I haven't run into this deck yet. So Seth is Ward. Bane Aura evolves for 1, and you can pay 1 and discard this from hand to heal you later 2, which is pretty faithful. It's like the advance effect, and then when it evolves, it heals you later 4 as well. So it's like lots and lots of healing, and then as usual, you have your. I mean, you don't have Aegis in this anymore,
but you do have Marwyn, and yeah, I guess you go super late. Can you get the Zelgeni advance out as well? So
yeah, I think usually the win con for these decks is always Zelgeni advance, which is like a 10/10 that on Fanfare deals 10 to all enemy followers in your opponent's leader.
Yeah. And then you swing
at the start of your end phase. If this is in the X area, which is where it always starts from, you deal 4 damage to all enemy followers in your opponent's leader. So
yeah, and then you just swing with Marwyn for the difference, right? Like,
yeah. So you just chip, and then 10 damage. So it's very strong. So I think I wasn't sure if this was a meta where control decks could thrive, but I guess it kind of is.
I guess so. And then the final one in Kanto B is Natura Dragon. So there you go.
And look, it's evolving. They're playing the rights again. They're playing.
Yeah, when I saw the previous list, I was like, why are you not playing the rights? I feel like you should be. It's just a free bird.
So there's even more damage.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah. So we have that. And then the final one.
This was when I put the doc together. This one wasn't even out yet. So this is
this like new. Just came out yesterday.
Yesterday, okay.
Hey, more Kagero. Oh,
actually, so what region is this? What region is this? This is
an evolution of Wasteland Sword. So it's actually playing the new Emilia.
From the Seaside Memories set. But what region is this? Sorry, it's So
this is from Kanto A.
Kanto A. Okay.
So the Emilia is whenever you would play a knight follower, she deals 3 damage to the enemy leader, and then she lets you pay 0. As an act effect to choose, you can choose from your hand or from your EX area an original cost 2 or lower knight follower and play it for 0, and that's once per turn. That's very good.
Very similar to the Amelia the Silver Flash in digital as well. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
So and this you got the UR knots in here as well. Very beautiful.
Not swimsuit not. Come on, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Not swimsuit not. Unfortunately, not dedicated enough.
Damn.
Well, yeah, so there's that. Ooh, this is like
what?
Ektar.
We got got Necrocharge Abyss in 2024?
So it's actually it's like Wasteland Abyss, but because Wasteland Abyss has space for other things, it's playing like Gremory
and Ector.
Yeah, so Ector, I think you guys should know, just revives your 2-drops and buffs them.
And
there's
Tartarus?
also Tartarus. So he's from set 8. It's actually pretty soon for English.
Yo,
he's a 10/7/7 that if you have 15 or more Shisha cards in your cemetery, he costs -5. But you can also pay 1, and from your hand, put this to EX area to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and from among them, find a Shisha card and add it to your hand and put the rest to the cemetery. And he also evolves for 1 to choose a Shisha card from your cemetery and play it to the field. Now, he's a Shisha. Who else is a Shisha in here? I think it's... Oh, okay.
Ishilendrig
is a Shisha. What is the... It's like death... It's like dead... It's like Shisha is like... You could technically say corpse.
Departed,
that's what
it's called in English. Yeah.
Corpse sounds a bit lame.
I think it's departed in English.
Yeah. Is she departed? Yeah. Oh, she is. Okay. Wow. Okay. So this is actually a searcher. Wow. Okay. That's cool. So he actually is.
Wait, this is so spicy. Actually,
it's a 1 cost that you put to EX from hand to like look at top 2 for one of your like key pieces.
The discount still activates from EX, right? Too.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
You probably don't get 15 of them, but you just let it sit there until you have 10 play points.
That's so cool.
There's a quick that lets you mill 2, the Poltergeist.
Poltergeist something, yeah.
Then Gremory is, she mills 2 on Fanfare and she has Ward as a 2/3. And for 1, you can play her from the cemetery and she gets last words, she banishes herself. But you can only do this if you have 10 or more cards in your cemetery, and if you have a Gremory. If you don't have Gremory in your cemetery to begin with. So you can only... So it's like, I think... Jibun no Bani? Oh, if you don't have Gremory on the field. So this can only be used when you don't have her on the field and when you have 10 or more cards in the cemetery. So she's like, you can play her mill 2, she gets taken out, and then you just play her again to like mill 2 more, and then that like turbos you. I guess maybe you do get to 15. I mean, a lot of like the departed support cards are also... I mean, yeah, some of these are also departeds.
Was that Great Pick Corpse or whatever, but it's the alt art?
Yeah. So this is like the one that like remakes the tokens.
Yeah.
That you lose. So I guess, yeah, it's actually has good synergy.
This is really spicy. I did not expect to see a list like this.
All right, this is why I wanted to look at like the later weeks, because it has a lot of those.
Well, and there's Kagero.
More Kagero.
Okay, what's the other region? It was Kanto A and...
Oh, dear.
The other one is... It was Kanto A, and the other one was what? Is it just one region that we're looking at right now?
Yeah, Kanto A basically had the Abyss one in the... Okay. This was... Where did this one finish? It actually don't think it says, but probably was like the top cut. It's just like it's the top decks from that event.
Yeah, makes sense. But so, yeah, that's a lot of Kagero still happening. So
yeah, the deck is still... I mean, it's because there's so many board-based decks, and Kagero just like answers them all, so... But that's makes like sense. Shadowverse is a board-based card game. So
from all the Vanguard players I talked to, they all say, when the end is put into a game, it does break the meta for a while. So,
yeah, that's... Yeah. For the record, the end, when it came out in the actual TCG, like 12 years ago, it was the best deck in format for a year. So if they're really trying to recreate... Yeah, for a year. They had to restrict it. But that was the first ever like big restriction list in Vanguard as well. I made a video about that a very long time ago.
Set me free.
Yeah, so I mean, there's just half a year left. This is throughout all the ages of Shadowverse. Dragonic Overlord is the only thing that remains consistent.
All right, man. Well, I mean, I guess we're almost wrapping it up for this half of the episode. The last thing is that we mentioned a little bit earlier. There is a GCS happening in Chiba in just 4 days from recording this. So
yep. Grand Championship happening on the 17th.
From the results you were able to study from the area calls, what do you think is going to top this? Oh, and you get what was that? An EP? No, an alt art Rolla?
This is an alt art 2-cost spell that lets you remove 2. What is it? It removes 2 repair modes from your EX area to search your deck for a 3-cost or lower Machina follower and play it. And then if you have 5 repair modes in EX area, you can search it for 6 cost or lower, a Machina follower, and play it instead. So I only saw this card played, but this is one of like the spells for Haven that has a Rolla altar that looks really, really cool.
That looks really
so
nice,
you get this for spending, for every 3,000 yen you spell at the, spend at the merch booth, you get one of these. So they say if you spend 6,000, you get 2 of them. And then there's also the exclusive sleeves that are available, which are the UR Daria from this set, and then the SP Forte and the beautiful Ginsetsu.
I'm going to Japan in December, so I do miss this, which sucks.
Yeah. There's also this playmat that a lot of people want, the Mono and
Urias.
Urias playmat, yeah.
Looks so good. So, anyway.
It's very good. So yeah, there's also, I don't know if I can show the prizes. Give me a second.
Do you have any sort of predictions on what do you think is going to end up doing well at this event?
I'm sorry, just before we do that, just for entering. So the entry fee is pretty high. It's like 5,000 yen per player, but you get a sleeves, you get a promo card, you get a playmat and a storage box as well. And then the top cut prize is this beautiful Isla playmat and the UR version of her token.
With Mr. Dragon?
Yeah, her token is a freaking UR, dude. And so there's like the prize distribution. It's like top 32 gets one of each, and then a playmat, and then top 4 gets more copies basically, and then second and first place get Japan Championship invites. So
that's so sick.
Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I think I mean in terms of predictions, I mean there's definitely one deck that we know is going to be on all because of the team tournament. So I'm sure there's going to be at least
Is it 3 players per team? So
yes. So at least 1 Kagero per team, I suppose.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we've seen D-Shift still doing well in quite large regions like Kanto as well. So it's like maybe that.
I think the Wasteland decks, like Sword and Abyss, both I expect to do well, but also like the Machina Natura, like Sword seems to have fallen off, which is, or Sword, Natura Sword fell off, and it feels like we're back to Wasteland completely, which I don't think is bad necessarily. I mean, Natura Sword was really strong during its prime. I expect from the Natura decks, it's going to be Dragon, and hopefully a bit of Lidica maybe. I'm surprised that the Wasteland Forest never really picked up. I found that deck really, really good. So I kind of surprised that that's not been doing anything.
Interesting.
But I think from like if I had to make like, if I was going to build a team right now, it would probably be an Overlord player. It'd have a Machina Abyss player.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And probably either Rune. But I feel like there's like 3 viable decks for Rune. We have like D-Shift, we have Earthright, and Machina. But I personally probably put Wasteland Sword, because you can't have Wasteland Abyss and Machina Abyss in the same team. So I probably have Machina Abyss and Wasteland Sword and Kagero in the team. That's like my...
Okay.
That would be my team comp, and I think that might be the winning team comp as well.
That makes sense. Yeah, I was going to say Kagero for sure and Machina Abyss for sure. Because Machina Abyss we saw qualify through Kansai, Kanto B, and win Osaka. So it's like, okay. Clearly, that's got sauce.
Yeah, so, for sure.
And the third one, whatever, I don't know. D-Shift maybe.
Yeah, I think the last 2 slots are definitely a bit more open. Like there's some Haven cooking, there's some Abyss cooking. I think every class has a chance in this format, which is really nice, including of course the most important Vanguard class. So I think there's definitely a good shot for a lot of them to do well. So I'm curious to see how it's gonna evolve going into this format, pun intended.
He said it.
Whoa, the name drop.
Well, I guess with that's gonna wrap it up for the first half of EX area for this month.
Yep.
As you know, we split the podcast up into 2 parts, where the first half is more about the JP side, and the next half over on my channel is more about the English side. So yeah, I guess we can just jump over to that. But if you're here for the Japanese news, thanks for watching.
Yep.
Like and subscribe to DifferentFight, please.
That's
right.
And
rate us on Spotify. We're on there now. We're on Spotify, and by the time this comes out, we should be on Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts as well. So just use whatever vaguely popular podcatcher you want to use, and then we'll be on there. So there you go.
Exactly. We should be there.
Also, if you're listening to the audio version, you don't have to go anywhere. The second half will be starting literally right now. It's stitched into one for the audio platform. So there you go.
All right. So for the rest, make sure you check in on Igni's YouTube if you're watching on video, and we'll see you there.